Hi, this video is basically me rambling about Rampage. The movie came out in 2018. I honestly forgot of the movie's existence, even though I watched the trailer and I really wanted to watch the movie. I didn't get the opportunity to watch it in theater. I was watching another YouTuber. I'll put his video in the description, but it was basically a video talking about uh, the worst movies of 2018 in his opinion. For me personally, I even if I see a review, if I look at the trailer and I still find the movie interesting and I want to watch it, I'll still watch it. I like forming my own opinions. Obviously, if a movie trailer is not good and the reviews are not good, I'll be more iffy about it and I'll be like, oh, maybe we'll just wait until it's like on Netflix or something. But on this one, it just completely just out of vision, out of mind. Like I literally thought this movie came out in 2019, but it's actually been 2 years. So I want to talk about the good things about this movie and the not so good things. I'm not going to be. I mean, if you're watching this, you've probably already watched the movie. Um, so I'm not going to recap the entire movie, but. So I'm going to talk first about each character. Not each character, but like the main character. So you have Dwayne The Rock Johnson. His character is Davis, but I'm just going to call him The Rock because he basically plays The Rock. He does that in a lot of his movies. He just ends up playing himself. There's a little bit added spice in there, but it's basically him. One thing that I have, like, just a little thing is that they always, in the majority of these movies, he's always like an ex-military, just because of the fact that The Rock is built like very muscular, and I guess they have to explain why he's so muscular, and on top of that, they have to explain why The Rock can do so many things, because obviously he's a primatologist, so he like studies primates and his degree is on primates. So I doubt a primatologist, can fly a helicopter, can shoot, people, can like shoot missiles or all these things. I mean, maybe fly a helicopter because people have hobbies, but like the rest, it'd be like, what? So obviously, if you give The Rock, ex-military and it's like undercover because his history is like redacted, so you can be like, oh, okay, this is why he does all these things. I don't know, it just feels like it's a cop out, but whatever. I really enjoyed his relationship with George. George is the gorilla, the albino gorilla. I would have loved if they would have given us more dialogue of The Rock just talking about his experience with George and like raising him with like, because at the beginning they basically show him with students or like new employees or whatever, and he's like showing them the ropes. It would have been cool if he would have like delved in more about George, so it could have been like more heartfelt, because at the end they show us a flashback of George and it's the cutest thing and it just pulls on your heartstrings, but I still liked how they portrayed that friendship. Then I also enjoyed is that they introduced us to Kate. Kate is, she's a doctor, she's a geneticist, and she used to work for the company that, like the bad company, the evil company, that I'm going to be honest, I completely forgot its name. I'm not going to look it up, but it's the evil company who basically created these pathogens that alters the animals and makes them go completely ballistic and alters their DNA, so they have like whale, like just a bunch of animals. So she used to work for them until she found out that they were using their research for like bad things and she was going to destroy it, but Claire, who is like basically the owner of the company, found out, and she went to jail. Dr. Kate went to jail. And so I really enjoyed that they didn't give us any romance between, The Rock and Dr. Kate, because I was like, please no. Because some movies do that, even though they literally knew each other for like 2 days or a day and a half. Some movies would have been like, oh, kiss. No, they did not give us that. So thankful. Not every movie needs a romantic plot, and especially if it's a movie that takes in 2 days of like a time frame. Really enjoyed that. I like that she was her own person. Like it wasn't like she was just one dimensional. Like, oh, she's just smart. Like no, she was her own character. Like it wasn't a one dimensional character, which I enjoyed. So moving on to Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Jeffrey Dean Morgan, he plays an agent. He basically doesn't say like he's a government agent, but he doesn't say like what agency he's from. He kind of is like the cowboy-esque. I actually enjoyed his character. I think he was in it the appropriate amount to be in it. Like, it wasn't a character that was like, oh my god, okay, we get it. Like, no, it was enough. The amount of spice that man put in the movie was was good. And I like that he wasn't the cliche like, oh, I won't listen to the experts because obviously, Dwayne knows. I like how I just said Dwayne. Like, who am I to The Rock to be calling him Dwayne? The Rock knows about George. He knows about primates. He knows about all other animals because The Rock mentions that how would, the wolf and the gorilla team up like in real life. In nature, they would be fighting each other. They wouldn't be like best friends running in a straight line. So Jeffrey Dean Morgan like doesn't like that character doesn't go through that cliche of like, oh, I don't trust you, I don't believe you, blah blah. He's like, you know what, The Rock saved my life, I'm going to trust him, and it works out. And moving on to Joe Manganiello. I have no idea if that's pronounced the name right, but I would have loved him more in the movie. When I saw him, I was like, ooh. But basically, he was just there to show you how vicious the wolf is. That's basically his purpose. His whole Black Ops team. That's the purpose of them. So that was it. That's all I have to say. I mean, it was kind of like, okay, cool. Didn't really, add anything. Like, I already knew the animals were vicious because, we could see that when the wolf like literally just destroyed his whole entire pack, and we see that with George at the beginning. Like, I don't know, I just thought it was a little bit unnecessary. And then we have Claire Wyden and Brett Wyden. They're like the owners, like the CEOs of the company, and Claire is obviously the intelligent, the mastermind. The character was on a fine line of almost being a cliche comic book villain, because it was just like she just like did not care at all, like zero empathy, like she just wanted to like destroy everyone, kill everyone. She didn't like care at all. She was like, we'll pin on this thing on this, and we'll do. It was, like a not a thin line, a little bit more, and she just would have looked like a comic book villain. Actually, when she's on the top of this, like on the building, she kind of comes off as a comic book villain. It just, there were moments where I was kind of like, I get that you can be evil, but like this is a little bit too cliche-ish. Like, true, in the beginning of the movie, they do show us that she's cruel because when they're like up in space and the scientist is trying to escape, going onto the escape pod, and the whole like thing is on fire and exploding because the rat just like it works, so the rat is huge and destroying everything. She basically tells the scientist like, no, if you don't get me the samples, I'm not opening the pod for you, and you're not escaping, and you're gonna die up there. So like they show us right off the bat that Claire is cruel. Brett, he's just an airhead. He just is there, like he just wants money. He doesn't really care. At one point he's like, I don't care about the money, I just don't want up in jail. He's just really like an airhead. He just kind of follows what his sister does and everything. I like the dynamic between their characters. Brett was still his own character, but I like that the main focus was on Claire as well. So, moving on to the other things, because now I talked about the characters. George, like I said, I love George. George, I was rooting him for the whole entire movie. Even when he ate people, even when he destroyed things, I was like, George, live. Obviously they didn't really show us anything about like the wolf and the crocodile because they were just a wolf and a crocodile, so it's kind of like, don't really, they were still really cool and the scenes were really fun, but because the wolf, the gorilla, and the crocodile are something that literally no one has seen like this magnitude, it's a lot of reacting. So like at first, you have them reacting to just the gorilla and the wolf, and they're just like, oh my god. And the scene is really weird to me because you have The Rock and Dr. Kate basically in a helicopter going to the building, right? And you see them continuously flying, but they're also looking at the carnage happening. So I'm like, are they just like not moving? Are they just watching it? Like, I don't understand. Like, because from the view of the camera, they show us that the building is literally like just straight ahead, but they're like like I was like, what is happening? Like, are they showing us to show us the reaction of them seeing this, but like why? And when this crocodile appears, the crocodile was super, like, even when they showed us like the water, that was super cool, but it's just like this whole thing, like The Rock and Dr. Kate it's time, like they're supposed to get there quickly because they're gonna drop a bomb, but they're just sightseeing. They're literally just watching it, like, oh my god, they're getting eaten. Oh my god, they're like, I'm like, what is happening? Why don't they just go straight to the building while the animals are distracted? And just, obviously, this is all for plot convenience because, like, I don't get why they haven't got into the building yet. And then when they see the crocodile, they react to it and they're like, oh my god. I'm like, why are you still there? Why haven't you moved? Like, I'm confused. Why haven't you left? And like, the Rock just did not react to anything. Like, you see a giant crocodile and he's just like, oh, like that's it, when, like what? And then when the wolf flies, he's just like, oh, of course it flies. What? Like, why are you acting like you've seen this before? Why are you acting like this is like, I feel like I reacted more to seeing the crocodile, to seeing the wolf. Like, he was just like, oh yeah, I see this every day. I was like, huh? Why is he so chill? Why isn't he react like? And the worst thing is, like, obviously, yes, it's CGI, and I guess, you know, it's a little difficult, but there's still a, like, I just don't, you know, I don't get it. Like, why didn't he, like, I would assume the director would be like, hey, this is a scary, scary wolf. It looks like this. Look at the picture. React. But it was just like, oh, I'm like, dude, scream. Something. Open your eyes. I don't know. I was like, why is, like, just, I just needed more reaction from The Rock. He's just like, Dr. Kate did good. I would have loved her to react a bit more, but then you do have, like, the fact that she's, you know, she was a geneticist, so she knows, like, the behavior of, like, what would have happened to the animals. But, like, yeah, she reacted more than The Rock. But there were some scenes that felt like they dubbed her over. Like, maybe the mic didn't pick it up, and it felt so weird. Like, I don't know if that was just my own perception, but it felt like it was, like, placed just in. Anyways, but, so yeah, The Rock. So they finally get to the building, and this is okay. So they don't. I was like, why don't they literally just? Since they're in a helicopter, why don't they just go on the helipad? Isn't that what it's called, the helipad? The, like, when you're in a helicopter, like, usually business buildings have, like, on the top, like, a helicopter landing if, like, they're, you know, expensive businesses, and they, in this case, they are, because they said that they spent like $2 billion on that, like, space thing. So, like, I would assume that they would have a helipad. Why didn't they stop there? Why did they stop, like, a block away to run to the building and then go up 84 stairs, or, like, in the elevator, which I don't know which. Oh no, first they went to the science build. They went to the science lab. And, you know, Claire sees them through the cameras, and this is what I don't get. This is what I don't understand. This whole entire time, right? This is where I'm like, the plot just starts evaporating, because you have Claire and Brett this whole entire time that this has been happening. They have been in that building. They have been in that building. Like, the FBI took what they could from them, and then they left, you know, and then the whole, like, animal attacks started happening. So they've been there in that building the whole entire time. Why did they wait until the last minute to go to the lab to get things that they needed, that were important, that they would use to sell things, or to, I don't know what their plan is. Their plan was just very fickle, because it was like, how are you going to attract these 3 giant animals to your, you know, building, assume that someone was going to be able to kill one of the animals and take, like, their DNA, and, like, I don't know. But anyways, they wait until the last minute, which I do not understand why. Like, literally Claire has a new wardrobe. She's wearing a complete new dress and a new jacket. And I'm like, you didn't have time to go downstairs and just grab what you needed. I was like, what? And so she sees, and she even says it, okay, we need to go and grab that thing and then we can leave. And then she sees, the cameras, and she sees Kate and The Rock, and she's like, ugh. And I'm like, what? Like, why? So she goes down there, and Kate gets the vials. Like, it's basically kind of like, she explained it as like a pill to, like, chill out the animal. Like, the aggression just doesn't, like, it just chills out. Like, it's still, you know, huge and has all these abilities, but it has no, like, anger, because all those animals are pissed. They're super aggressive. So that kind of, like, quells the aggression. And I'm just like, okay, cool. And so obviously they get down there, and wow, what a coincidence. Claire and Brett find the Rock and Kate, and Brett has a gun. And so they're basically telling, Claire that she needs, did I say Claire? Tell Kate that she needs to come with Claire and Brett. And the Rock is like, no, no, no. They shoot, like, Claire takes the gun from Brett and shoots the Rock. Like, shoots him in the abdomen, like, right in, like, the stomach lower right part. Just shoots him. And so they go off and they go up to all the way to the top of the floor where the helipad is, where there's a helicopter waiting for them. And I'm like, okay, what? I'm just... Anyways, they get up there, and she's basically telling her, you need to come with me, you're gonna recreate this, or you'll die, because she has a gun. And so Kate is like, sure, of course. But then, obviously, because they haven't turned off the sound for some godforsaken reason, the frequency that's calling the animals, George just appears, grabs the pilot, flings him into the air, grabs the helicopter, flings it into the air. Brett completely just chickens out and runs, leaving his sister, I hope it's his sister, I'm pretty sure it is, leaves her up there. And so you have Claire, Kate, just running for their lives. And then The Rock shows up. Now, I thought that they were going to give it a spin on it and be like, oh, The Rock got contaminated or something, and now because nothing happened. The man got shot and nothing happened to him. Like, he just goes up and, like, helps, like, literally, there's 2 instances where she's about to get crushed by something, and he, like, dives in and, like, twirls her around and, like, saves her. Like, this happens 2 times. And then she's like, oh my god, you're alive! Because the last time, his veins were popping, and he fell to the floor, and he's just like, they didn't even explain how this man got shot, and he isn't bleeding out, he isn't, like, he's just fine. Like, he acts normally, like if he didn't get shot at all. And I'm like, what? Like, what? And then Kate is like, look, I have the antidote, like I was able to steal it, like this is it, like I have it in my hands. And then Claire just pops up again, and she's just basically waving the gun around, and Kate is like, you're gonna be sacrificed. So she puts the, like, little, thing to neutralize the aggression into her purse, and then just punches her. And I don't know how George just decided to get Claire instead of Kate. Plot convenience. Gets Kate, just chucks her into the air, and just swallows her whole. And then the whole building starts to collapse because obviously they're on top, these giant animals are on this building. Brett dies because debris fall on him, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan takes his computer and his pet rat, Claire's pet rat, and just walks away and is like, okay, I did my part, bye. I don't. So the building, right? This is a huge ass building, like 80 floor building. And they're on top of it, and they have no way down, right? And so The Rock is like, easy. We're just gonna get into this helicopter that is broken, that is, like, pinned to the building on top, to, like, I don't even know what it was pinned onto. I don't know what it's called, but it's like, anyways, it's pinned. And so he's just like, it's gonna be like a ride, As it falls, we're just gonna ride with it. I don't know how that worked. And even Kate, like, the character, mentions, like, I don't know how we're alive. Because genuinely, I don't know how you drop 80 floors and you're alive. But whatever, they're alive. And it's just, after this, it gets crazy, and then it gets cool, and it gets crazy. So, George, fine now. He's chill. He's cool. He's like, yeah, people are screaming because obviously they see this giant gorilla who destroyed and ate a bunch of people. But now he's cool. He's chilling. He's like, oh my god, it's you. Yeah, it's you. Like, what's up? And so The Rock tells Kate to go find Jeffrey Dean Morgan to tell him, like, hey, call off the missile that they're going to drop on this whole entire city because they're like, we need to kill these monsters. Except George. George is the best. And so she's like, gotcha. And there was this point where I genuinely thought he was going to be like, oh, a kiss or like romantic, but they didn't, thank God. So she vamooses out of there. He has like a grenade launcher, and he has like a belt with like grenades. Oh no, he doesn't have a grenade launcher. He just has something. I don't know about weapons, don't blame me, but he has this thing that shoots. I know. Lack of knowledge. Anyways. And so it's basically between The Rock and George. Yep, you heard that right. George, a human, tiny human, versus a huge crocodile and a huge wolf. And the wolf flies. And The Rock just goes, of course he flies. And that's just his reaction. That is just his reaction. And so they did pretty well, obviously since they are animals, it ends up, the crocodile basically killing the wolf by accident, because, I remember seeing the video of the crocodiles, a bunch of them just in this like area with a lake, and one of the keepers throws like a piece of meat, and one of the crocodiles makes a mistake and thinks it's the meat, but it's actually the leg of another crocodile, and he just still spins and just rips it out. So I mean, crocodiles are just kind of airheads, they're just kind of chilling. They're just not much going up there. So I'm not surprised that he didn't notice that it was like the wolf and that they were like comrades or whatever, because they were fighting along like side by side. So he just killed the wolf. That's just what happened, Dwayne tricked him, and he basically killed the wolf. So wolf is down. And then you have the crocodile, which was, they just spiced that up. And then you have George. Oh my god, George giving it all, fighting and running. The Rock is just, it's hilarious seeing him run underneath this giant crocodile. And sometimes they're, obviously since it's a lot of CGI, I don't know why the Rock's face sometimes seems CGI, and I'm like, did they like put someone else? Like did they have to reshoot and they didn't have the Rock, so they just used someone who physically looked like the Rock? Anyways, so they end up, after so much, they end up killing the crocodile. Just a lot to kill it. And so, oh, and if you're wondering, yes, the Dr. Kate finally finds Agent blah blah blah, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and they call the general, who did not want to pay attention to them in the middle of the film, being like, I know what I need to know, and I'm not going to listen to this primatologist or this geneticist. No, I know more than them. And he basically tells her, like, call off the mission strike, please. Look at your camera, look at the drone footage. And then obviously he's seeing this tiny ass man with this gorilla just free fighting. It's so cool. But again, why, like, they should have, I don't know, just The Rock there, I feel like it was, I don't know, they should have given, I don't know, maybe it would have been cooler if he was, like, in a plane, so then it'd be, like, I don't know, it just was, like, so hilarious to just see this tiny man running around. Anyways, so that happens, and they're gonna give you a cop-out of, like, oh my god, George, he's dead. Nope, he's not, he's alive, thank god. But The Rock can barely cry. Like, you're telling me this man, at the beginning of the movie, he says that he only loves animals because animals either love you or they eat you. Like, they're the only ones who truly understand him. So, and he's known George for his whole entire life. So you're telling me this man, this animal lover, who, like I said, rescued George as a baby, you should have made him wail. You should have made him, like, on his knees, screaming, crying. But he's just, like, like, he literally looked like the fake YouTubers who are, like, trying to, like, crocodile tears. That's what he tried to look like. And I was like, Dwayne, scream, yeah. And obviously George is just having fun. He's just, kidding, and everyone laughs. And then George is the one who kind of like makes a joke that they like each other. And then Kate's like, let's just roll out. I mean, she doesn't say that, but it's basically that, because then, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Kate, and The Rock just turn around and walk away. And the funniest thing is George, the huge-ass gorilla who, like, 10 minutes ago literally destroyed a bunch of people. Just everything, art, buildings, everything. And no one reacts to him. No one. You're telling me everyone knows that he's now a good gorilla, that he's now not evil, that he's just chilling? I expected someone to accidentally try to shoot him. Because you're telling me all these, like, normal citizens who just saw this giant gorilla eat their grandmother is not going to react? You're telling me these, military dudes walking around aren't going to react? Like, I was so confused that they were just like, oh, okay. Like, do they know what we know? Because, like, we know the audience because we, like, but, like, they don't. Like, I was just like, what? Like, why aren't they reacting to this? Like, why aren't they reacting to this giant gorilla just walking away? And, like, the funniest thing is, they pull back, and the shot is of George helping a human jump from a building onto his palm, and I'm like, what? Like, if this is a random human, what he saw was these giant animals destroying everything, and now he sees that animal, and now he's like, oh, I trust it. Like, I was just, what? I was so confused. I was like, I don't get what's happening. Why? Like, like I said, the towards the ending, things just kind of went to shambles. Like, it just, I don't know, the plot just, it just went garbage, garbage. Oh, so yeah, that was the ramblings of this movie. I enjoyed it, but it had moments where it was like, what the heck is happening? And I mean, and you have time to spare, and you're just like want to see a bit of entertainment, go ahead. I love that George was alive. Do not. I would have, cried if they would have killed him off. But the thing is, I'm a crier. Like, I cry a lot. And even in this scene, because of the lack of emotional response from The Rock, I didn't cry. And I cry for everything. Like, literally every movie that has like a character potentially dying, and especially if it's an animal, I will cry. And this one, I was like, oh, sad, but like, like The Rock should have been wailing, crying, like Kate should have put like what's it called, a hand over his like shoulder and been like I'm so sorry, like literally anything, like give us something. But yeah, that was my ramblings. I I don't even know. I don't even know. I would love to watch a movie where The Rock isn't The Rock, but until then, I haven't seen that. So yeah, George, albino gorilla, I love you. And I love at the end, they're like, we need to find a place where George can live. I'm like, where is this giant ass gorilla gonna live? Like, where is he gonna live? Like, sure, okay, like, yeah, sure, no one else is gonna try to hunt him or kill him, whatever. Anyways, um, so yeah, uh, I'm just gonna leave it at that. I really don't know how to end this rambling, but yeah, so, if you are still here, tell me what you thought of this movie. Did you like it? Did you see the same faults that I did? I would love to know. So, yeah. Bye. Hope you have a good day.